from the Caribbean. You guys like the Caribbean? That's where white people go to have sex with it. African American people. Caribbean's crazy, right? You ever notice, like, a Jamaican is so smooth, right? If there was a Jamaican serial killer, wouldn't he'd sing to you and kill you right after? He'd be like, hold on, boy. I gonna chop you up into tiny pieces so you can be found. Boom, 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 boom. And as I chop you to pieces, you'll be screaming for Jesus. But he can't save your ass now. I gonna kill you and your whole family. I put you in my George Foreman grill for a low-fat tree.
Ladies and gents, people of Earth, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Alas Vic Live. Sometimes I don't know what show I'm doing. I get confused. I'm like, which one is it? I'm your host for this evening, Laz Vic. Welcome to the show. Come on in. I see my mom sending me lots and lots of hearts. Thank you so much, Mom. Appreciate that. Priscilla, is that Priscilla I see in there? Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Everybody come on in. It's a new episode of Laz Vic Live. It is the end of August. I can't believe it. It's a whole month already. Holy cow, gone. Summer's almost over. Tonight is a very special comedy night. I'm joined by special guest and comedian Monty Mason, who you saw at the top of the show there. Without further ado, let me bring on my guest. Monty!
What up? What up? What up, lad?
What up, my man? How are you?
I'm good, man. We're live. How you doing?
We are live indeed. Welcome to the show, my man. What's going on with you? How are you? How's your week going?
Week's going good. Today was a little crazy, you know, but at least it's not 500 degrees out, so I'm good.
Oh my God, it's been hot lately, right? It's like, what's going on?
Yeah, man. Like, I don't know. We're starting.
It's been like disgustingly hot. Right? It's like disgustingly hot.
Like we forget it's August, and like people are like, oh, man, the pumpkins are coming. Relax. The pumpkins are coming. They're on their way.
They're coming, dude. People love Halloween. I love Halloween. I can't wait.
Yeah, I do too, but I don't dress up no more. But
you don't dress up.
That's for my kids. That's for the kids, man. It's for adults, but as long as you go to them parties of fun and you could pretend to be, you know, I pretend to be rich.
Nice. Halloween's gonna be weird. Lucy Martinez, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for sharing the stream. Yeah, Halloween's gonna be weird this weird, dude.
It's gonna be weird. Like last year was weird. More trunk or treats.
Yeah. You're suffering from a little lag tonight, Monty, but that's okay. I'm just gonna pretend like you're possessed.
I see that. I am.
We're still gonna have
Halloween, right?
We're talking about Halloween, and
right? I better slow down.
So, Monty, I just want to say thanks for coming on, my man. We and you go way back. We've been performing together for, I don't know, a decade now. I don't know. I want to show my age, but for a long time. We've been doing comedy, and so I'm sure you've had a lot of different experiences like I have. Tonight's episode, by the way, is about being a minority comedian, being a minority in comedy. And just that title alone already, you know, is like risky, right? Like,
yeah,
because you don't want to be like, I don't want to like shit on majority comedians either, because comedy is hard enough as it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like everyone But that's what makes it good
Yeah.
because everyone has a different perspective, and I think all those perspectives was what makes comedy dope.
True.
You know?
Exactly. So we want to share tonight our perspective on our experiences on comedy, maybe a few experiences that we've had in comedy. And I know I've had my fair share of discrimination, of all types of male discrimination, Latino discrimination, you know, location discrimination. So it's there's lots of different facets here, and it's been an interesting journey to say the least, right, Monty?
Yeah, man. Like I'm same here. Like I had like yo, you're not black enough. I was like,
Wow.
what? Yo, I was like, how hard do I got to code switch to get on the show? Like,
So that's funny. That's an interesting point right there because I've gotten you're not Latino enough, right? So
you're one generation from Cuba.
so I've gotten both. I've gotten you're too Latino, and then I've gotten
Latino.
you're not Latino enough, right? So it's always
That's crazy.
something, right?
There's always
It's like
that's the in between you. Oh man, that's the in between that you deal with, man.
so it's like either you're too fat or you're too skinny. You're never perfect, right? For anybody.
Yeah, it's like they talk about body shaming and all this other shaming, but they never talk about like, yo, you get like diversity.
And you
The
feel
same
weird,
way.
right, Monty? Like some shows, they make you feel weird. Like you go there like I don't consider myself a minority. Let's put that. I don't consider myself a minority. I consider myself a unique person with a set of skills. That's it. Right?
Yeah,
I'm like an NFT. I'm one of a kind. That's what I don't subscribe to minority majority per se, but what happens is
sometimes you
that
gotta-
society thrusts these ideas upon us and makes assumptions when we just walk in the room just trying to be funny.
You're just trying to be funny. Like you can only be you. Like you can only
You
be
can
you.
only
So,
be you.
the problem is like you're already being graded on, oh, this guy, who's he like? Is he like George Lopez? Oh, this guy, is he like he's like this black comedian out here? But I can't be. I'm just me, like me, like so.
Yeah.
But that's what comedy is. It's if you come and be yourself, and you be original, like everything else takes care of itself. Because sometimes, like if you're trying to be something you aren't, like if I'm trying to talk like your real hood and stuff, but I didn't grow up in the hood, like that's.
Have you
that
ever
like
been
an act?
pressured to do that a little bit?
Like sometimes when I'm like on like a real like urban show, I'm like, oh no, like they're gonna smell it. They're gonna smell the birds on.
What's up, motherfucker? Like, yeah, me too, man. Sometimes I'll go to urban rooms, you know? And
Yeah.
early on in my career, I would try to adapt to every room, right? And I do that
Yeah.
now, but I still stay me.
You-
Whereas
you
when I
stay
was a
in be-
younger comic, I would try to be more ghetto when I wasn't. Or I would
Yeah.
try to be more clean when I wasn't, right? And that was my process of learning because society, again, was telling me, this is what you gotta be.
This is what you got to do. Like sometimes like, and it's like an every night battle. Cause so the other night I did a show and it's like in the town and it's basically, it's a white town. And like, but I'm coming with like, my experiences and what's happening. And I'm talking through my lens, which it happens to be an African American lens, but also, I have friends. I always grew up. I had all kinds of friends,
Yeah.
black, Spanish. Like I hate
So
speaking
where did you
Spanish.
grow up, by the way?
So I grew up in Jersey in Teaneck.
Okay,
the Isley
so we're
Brothers
both Jersey
hood.
boys.
Jersey boys,
Yeah,
Isley
well.
Brothers, baby. Thank you for liking the stream.
So basically,
Oh.
we grew up in Jersey, so we're both Italian.
Yeah, we're both Italian. We both
Okay.
love sauce.
Sauce.
Give me that sauce.
We love coffee.
But no, coffee. Like I had to beat that off of me. Like but you learn to adapt. But I grew up in Jersey, so like, but the town was like black. It was Jewish, like and then the kids. we hung out, but I had all kinds of friends. I had Filipino friends. I had friends like, you know, from the hood friends, and then, but we all hung out. And I never really thought about it as like this was the way you are, because whatever. And then the older you get, the more that stuff starts to they like, yo, pick a side or go here. I'm like, oh man, well, I'm gonna pick a side. My best friend growing up was this kid. His name was Edgar, like Velasquez, and he was like, I'm lagging. He was.
It's okay. You can lag.
He was Latin. He was Latin. I don't even know. Like, here's the thing. Even the way you got to describe people makes me feel weird.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to say Laz, but I'm like, oh, Latin, Latino, Spanish. Like, the words are always good. Now it's Latinx. Yeah. Everything. It's always gonna change.
Yeah. It's always gonna change. Yeah.
It's always gonna change. Hopefully, politely.
Yeah. Hi, Mara. Welcome to the stream.
Yeah, Mara.
So,
you know, and
yeah, so it's interesting
Teaneck,
that
New Jersey.
Teaneck, New Jersey. Okay.
Teaneck, New Jersey. Grew up. I went to. My mom was like, saw like the hood place, and she was like, "Oh no, you're going to Catholic school." So now there's more race and class stuff happening. So I'm still a black kid, but now I'm going to like a school where my mom's busting her ass to pay for it. But now these kids are from these towns are like with the money. I don't have the money.
Yeah, so it's a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure to like do, but I had that role. I was a good athlete. You know, did that.
What did you play?
But like, you know, I played. I ran track and I played football.
Okay.
So it was so track. I still got 2 school records.
Nice, dude.
So high jump and high hurdles. Like I was good.
Oh wow.
Like, you know. But like
you should do that on stage sometime.
The high hurdle?
Yeah. Set up a high hurdle on the stage.
I should. That's what it feels like sometimes. Like trying to.
That's what comedy feels like. It's a high hurdle.
Don't fall in front of you, flat in your face.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm trying to feel like. So like, you know, I started that. So now you're talking about like class. I'm in some place where you know most of the kids are white, and then like so now the minorities would gravitate to each other because we kind of have the same sort of experiences and we would share their experience. But I was the kind of guy who got along with everybody. Like I would I would love talking to like the nerdy dudes because those dudes knew everything. There was a kid in my class who built a calculator. Okay. Like this is like, you know, I like date myself 20 years ago, kids building calculators. This when they had Radio Shack, young people.
Wow, Radio Shack, yeah.
Like, those, you know how lads can build a Game Boy? Like you can build a Game Boy.
I used to love Radio Shack.
Kids were building, right? You could upgrade. You just go down there and like you could build stuff, and it was dope. Radio Shack.
Radio Shack was basically a store that had everything in pieces.
Yeah, it was like Lego
nothing was
for nerds.
Fully built at Radio Shack.
Like,
you wanted a computer? There's a hard drive over there. There's wires over there.
Wires over there. There's some RAM up there. Have some fun.
No one would help you. You're just in there by yourself.
Yeah. There was no instruction manual either. It was just like, you know how to do this, right?
It was like they'd open the box and throw away the instruction manual.
They're like, don't be a fool.
We don't need this.
There was no Google neither. You had to find like manuals. You had to find manuals to put this like an A+ book. Remember they used to build. Now you could do it. You could still build your own gaming laptop. Yeah. But when I was there, you could build your own, and they had 2 different boxes, like whatever TX and blah blah, and you could build computers.
Yeah.
You know, only geeks do that stuff now. Like, but that's what I was dealing with. So yeah, like, well, I built, I like building stuff, but
yeah,
it's now everybody wants to be a geek.
Yeah,
they want to be a nerd.
No, so I'm such a geek that I assume that people just, can figure technology out. They're like, oh, that's easy. It's not easy. It's a process.
No, it's
like,
a process.
To me, it just comes natural because I just enjoy it. You know what I mean? But to other people, I forget. Like, other people are good at fixing cars. I'm horrible in fixing cars. I couldn't fix a car. You know what I mean?
But you have the patience and the experience. You know what I mean? Like, you need a little bit of patience because you're dealing with something that doesn't talk back to you. So you're like, hey man, why don't you just tell me what's wrong? And like, no, it can't. It's like talking to a baby. Like, what's wrong?
Yeah, exactly. You got to explain it. And comedy is very hard to explain because there's no rule book there. There's no, Even now, there's no Google. There's no place to go. There's no really. I mean, now there's podcasts with comedians talking about comedy.
Yeah, but
But
it's still,
before, there was no road or way of, getting in, right? So
Still
one of the
isn't, like-
ways. Go ahead.
no, it still isn't. Like when I
Still.
started, it was like, hey, go to an open mic. Like somebody dared me. Like, yo,
Yeah.
you're funny. Why don't you go? And I was like, yeah, I always, because I had a list of stuff I wanted to do, and then when I was like coming out of high school, and one of them was comedian.
Yeah.
Like that was like an actual thing. Oh, you're funny. Oh, I thought it was like a skill. Oh, it's you just go there and you're funny and then you're famous.
Yeah. Exactly. So there's no road. So one of the ways that I got started was through a Latino night, right? They have Latino comedy night. So shout out to Latino comedy nights. I think
Latino
there's
comedy?
a lot of positive as well as some negative when it comes to these segregation nights. Because there's
It wasn't a chocolate Sunday type of thing.
chocolate
What
Sunday.
what do Latins have like not we have
we don't
chocolate Sunday.
See, you guys get chocolate Sunday. We just get called Latino show, Latino Sunday.
Back that's like back in the day when they had like films and they would have films and they would describe who were in the films. They would have cowboy films with black people and they would call
Yeah.
it chocolate cowboy film.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it just is like I'm wondering like they don't I would say peanut butter, but then the people go, peanut butter, that's racist.
Right?
I'm just kidding. But like
We should
so
have
is
I
chocolate.
don't know. We should have some sort of food night, pasteles night for us or something. I don't know.
Pasteles.
We're the kind of almost that color.
Yeah, it's weird, but go ahead, man.
So what happens is these nights give us opportunities, but at the same time they segregate us from the main shows, which
Yeah,
I
and
don't
they
agree
pigeonhole
with
you.
at all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there was a point in my
happen.
career where I wanted to break out of those shows, and I literally would go to the main rooms and I would get pushback. And I would
Really?
I would spend weeks just to get a test set where you get like the owner or the booker sees you, right? And you can do a set in front of a small audience during a matinee or something, or they give you the first spot during a show. And I had to fight tooth and nail to just get a chance to audition for the booker for the main show. As an example of one thing that happened. And I purposely didn't do any Latin-based material for my audition.
Okay. You're just like.
And
I'm a
I was
comic,
still told
Yeah.
I'm too Latino. And I
That's
was
even messed
really
up, 'cause
angry,
now
dude. I was
It's
really
just the way you
angry.
look.
And
Now
not
it's the way you
only
look.
did I do a non-Latino set, which was, I had a big chunk was about my family. I'm Latino. That's just who I am. But I wrote a whole set just for the audition, and it still killed it. Killed. I mean, the audience is your proof,
Yeah.
So to be,
That was funny.
not to say that I'm hot shit or whatever, but I knew that was funny stuff, right? And so it really was like disheartening. So what are you going to do? You going to complain? Like,
I know, but it seems like they're looking, especially when it makes it easier and harder. They're looking, especially when they're looking for a certain thing, whatever the hot. You can be really, really funny, and if you're
Yeah.
not like that
Well, back
hot
then,
minority that
they just
that they
wanted
want,
Bill Murray over and over. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Or they
So
wanted
when
that look or
Eddie
whatever.
Murphy or
Eddie
Chris
Mur- yeah,
Rock or
they
like
want- yeah.
a certain kind of minority they're looking for.
Yeah.
Like so I don't want to so I'm trying to do this without shitting on a certain type of so there used to be this I even know because we went there and we stood in line for one of these things where it was like a diversity show. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Because you called me up, yo, come out, they're doing this thing.
Yeah.
The same thing we're talking about. Even like another comic who shout out to Gordon Baker Bone who had called me like it was like a Tuesday. He was like, yo, they're doing this thing. And then you had texted me too, yo, man, they're doing this thing. And then I was, you gotta come down. I took off work, stand in line. Now the thing is blah 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 diversity. I'm not gonna shout out. Comics know who it is. I don't know if they're doing it anymore. I go there, I think me, you, a bunch of dudes. I go there. I had a pretty good set. Like it's 3 minutes. I had a good set, and I'm like, oh man, nope. I was like, oh man, well maybe it was just tough. I'm looking who made it second round. This guy, and then turns out they weren't really looking. I wasn't diverse enough. Like they were looking for like
Yeah,
Indian women, and not to poop or
that's
shit
right. I
on.
remember this
You
showcase.
remember that? And
We
we were all
spent
looking
three
like
hours online, 4 hours.
we were like, what? Did Grita Kita? What? So
Yeah,
I'm not mad at her, but I was just like, oh man, I see what it is now. Like
yeah,
they weren't looking for me.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
I will.
And they should
They
just
weren't
be
looking
upfront
for me.
about that. You know what I mean? Instead of
Just
calling it diversity
we
show or
stood for
whatever it
three
is.
hours, and the reporters are coming up and down line. Remember,
Yeah, yeah,
I met
yeah.
I met a lot of comics there who were like a bunch of
That was
Asian
the one good
comics.
thing about that. We networked a lot. We met a
I met a
lot of
lot of
comics.
comics.
Yeah,
Me, you, and I remember we all got on like line together, and then we all
yeah,
had good sets. I remember, like, because
yeah.
the crowd was laughing, and I was like, okay,
We had great
yeah.
sets. Yeah,
And then we went to the line. We were like, what? And then like a couple of friends got through, and then like, but when I looked at who, I was like, oh, like it's one of those things that okay, I see. They're not
yeah.
looking for me. All
Nope.
right, that's fine.
And
I got a chance to
I'll tell
perform.
you, I've been to a few of those showcases. That wasn't my first rodeo, or nor
Yeah,
my
yeah. I
last.
think I did. I think I did two of those, and I was like, enough of this, man. They're not looking for me.
Yeah,
I'm, I'm not that dude. Like I'm not like maybe. And it's a lot of things. The way you look. Like if I'm not, you're not good. Like you could be lights out funny, but if you don't have the right look, they're like,
yeah.
you want to go in the writers' room? Like,
Yep,
oh,
and I
okay.
think that like hopefully it's not as prevalent as it was when we came up. It was a lot. It's like something like less than 1% of parts were going to Latino men in the '90s, in the early 2000s, throughout the 2000s. I mean, it's 0.5%. Go to minority actors.
Yeah,
Asian, Black, Latino, or
they
one
just
percent.
have an
It's a very
Asian.
minuscule number, dude.
Yeah, and it's just and that's usually enough to placate. Like, oh yay! Hey, I'm like they had Crazy Rich Asians, and Asians were so happy to
They were
have.
so happy to have something.
So like we got something,
Yeah,
and I was like, man, there's been Crazy Rich Asians for a long time. But
exactly.
it's like when you introduce this stuff to the culture at large, you're like,
Yeah.
you're like, look at the good stuff we can do. Look at like, it's like you. It's weird though. Like like
So and so looking at the industry, right? It's like I've noticed throughout the years that a lot of it's laziness. It's not even racist. It's just laziness. Like a lot of the producers live in LA, so they just produce in LA. They don't want to be bothered to fly anywhere else, Florida or
yeah,
New York or Texas or Chicago or Atlanta, all these places that have awesome comedy with awesome comedians. They don't want to be bothered. They just want to
yeah,
cast in the town because
whoever's
it's
there.
just convenient,
It's easy.
It's
Come down to
easier.
my street. Yeah.
So a
Plus,
lot of it comes down to convenience, and a lot of
and
these
I don't think,
shows. Go ahead.
yeah, I don't think they know what to do with a lot
They
of
don't. They have no idea.
like what's funny. They only know what. So they use tropes that are like pretty racist, or not racist, but pretty pigeonholing,
Yeah.
and they use those like the Latin guy. Oh, he got he's a super. You're like, oh, he he's a janitor, the black
Yeah, and
guy. Like,
it's just they don't know. They're also writers that are learning, right? When
yeah,
I'm a writer, and that's how I learned too. I learned by doing bad writing, by
yeah.
just bad jokes. I'm not saying all
Bad.
my jokes are good now, but I'm saying, after
Yeah. At least
a
they're
decade, you
authentic.
start improving a little tiny bit, and you
Yeah.
start looking
Like
outside the box.
yeah. The industry is lazy. And
It's
it's
lazy.
formulaic too. It's
Yeah.
lazy, formulaic. So they're looking for someone to plug into something that already works. And when they do a change, it's like, uh-oh, like they do Jackie Chan and
Yeah.
so now they instead of doing the Eddie Murphy cop buddy movie with Nick Nolte, they do hey, let's add some kung fu and black guy.
Yeah, they just switch out.
They switch out parts. Like it's like they put like you were like, all right, I got a new computer. I'm gonna put some more RAM in here, but I'm gonna use
Yeah.
like you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
just plug in different dudes.
Yeah, and it seems like, I don't know, man. It seems like the comedy sets are on TV are just like they throw so much at us now. There's so much entertainment. There's so much out there that a lot of it gets watered down or lost. You know, or or I have like, you work for years and years and years and you perfect your set, you film it, you finally get it produced by HBO, and then they put you into HBO Latino. Like, why would you? Why create an HBO Latino? I understand, but at the same time you're segregating. Segregating the entertainment.
Like, you want like a person who does that. Say you want everyone who Latinos will be behind you. You already know that.
I want to be on HBO. HBO.
The main one. The one with
one. The
10 million views. I don't want to be
That's it. I don't want to be on Latino.
Disney Latino.
Yeah. What? I mean, okay. Thank you, HBO, for making a little subsection for us. But we shouldn't be pigeonholed, like you said, into those. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
At the show. Like, if you want to be in the NFL, they don't have NFL Latino. Like, it's just Latinos. Like,
NFL Latino.
You get a shot at the show. Like, I don't know. I think what also it bugs me is like, so you also get it from, so I've been in front of so many auditions and so many different club owners, and the club owners really just looking for funny, and they know a lot of guys are trying to get in the room, so you almost have to be the perfect comic by the time you have a big TV credit, which is really hard work to get, or maybe a little luck.
Yeah.
To get in there. But like, I remember when guys were doing BET, and remember when BET was hot and Comic View and a lot of dudes, and then but then they segregated that. So then there wouldn't really a lot of it was inclusional, not inclusional, but like they needed that voice. Like but then, then we're about the Latinos, and what about, there was no Asian, like, so like when you're hot and you become like the next sort of like coming up, and then now, then like nobody finds Mindy Kaling if they don't just say, hey man, this girl's funny.
Yeah.
And she's just funny. Yes, she's Indian. Yes, she
Yeah, exactly. And it's like this guy, I like this guy, Hassan Minhaj. When he did this, he did the correspondence dinner, prestigious event. It was a big deal because not a lot of minority comedians get invited to this thing, so it was a big deal. Let's take a look, a quick clip.
I don't have a solution on how to win back trust. I don't. But in the age of Trump, I know that you guys have to be more perfect now more than ever, because you are how the president gets his news. Not from advisors, not from experts, not from intelligence agencies, you guys.
So he had his own show on, I think it was...
Yeah, on Netflix.
On Netflix, and they canceled it. Like, why would you... It was a good show. It was an actual good show. Like, I watched it, and he did something a little different than everybody else. You could tell that he put a lot of work into the research and stuff. And
a lot of really good writing.
Yeah, well, why would you cancel it? Like, you got something good. So now he's kind of disappeared. Right? Isn't that weird? Yeah. Where is he now?
Like, I don't know. Like, he's got to be doing... If I was him, I'd be capitalizing on my... Well, now it's COVID. What is he going to do? Fill a room? Like, because the next thing you're going to see the guy, he's going to be an actor because he's got the good looks.
Yeah.
And then, but maybe there's only room for like...
Or touring now.
I would tour if I could.
Yeah.
Maybe... Because there's only like room for like 3 of you. Like 3 top...
Right.
3 top black people... Kevin Hart.
Exactly. You know what? I think we need to change that, Monty. I don't think that should be true anymore, especially in the age of Netflix and all these Amazon Prime channels.
It's ridiculous.
You can have, there's plenty of room to have original content and tell real stories about real people.
Yeah. Tons of room for funny dudes. Like, that dude's a funny dude. Like, there's plenty of, Margaret Cho's been funny for... I remember watching Margaret Cho when she had that show on NBC, ABC? ABC. years
Yeah.
ago, and she's always been funny, man. Like it, but
Yeah.
it's tough to, you know, she got a lot of flack for like, you know, she does her mother's accent, but like that's why her mother talks. Like it's not.
That was the next subject. That was a good segue. So yeah, so what do you think about comedians talking about race and especially in 2021 talking about talk about their families like Margaret Cho's mom? I think that's hilarious because it's real.
It's real that her mom, like, this is what I was trying to say. Like I do a lot of accents in my act, but a lot of different accents. 'Cause I just like accents.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to actually live vicariously in other people through their actions. I'm not making fun of them per se, like, but I do enjoy the accents. I don't think it's because some people talk like that, and if you're trying to like do an act or like see a different angle, the best way to do it is try to live through their shoes.
Yeah.
And if someone, the best way for someone to present their culture to you is like, you know, hey, my dad talks like this, and then he struggles with English, but like he knows what he's trying to say, and it's funny
And
because
that
like,
makes him human and it makes you
yeah,
able to connect to the audience because you're sharing something intimate that's
you're sharing.
could be
Like my
embarrassing,
dad had an
but
accent.
yeah, it
It
could
could
be
be
embarrassing, but you
embarrassing.
make it into a loving thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I talk about like race, like I talk, but I try to be in a way like I'm not like I'm literally like say when I say I'm not talking about you guys. I'm not. I'm just saying this shit happens to somebody,
Yeah, somewhere.
and it bothers me. But like you know, it's hard to like you know. There's plenty of guys who probably do it better than me. You know, but like this stuff that bothers me, and like, but I try to do it in a way like we'll see it like this. This is a weird thing to happen, and this is strange. And then you know, you put something funny in there that to kind of like illustrate the, you know, that's what you can do with comedy is sort of talk about something that's uncomfortable to talk about, but as you talk about it, you're making them laugh along the way, so they're able to sort of digest what's happening without you just sort of white guilting them. You know, you know, I don't really care. Like, but like, as, you know, but I'm just want to be funny at the end of the day. I'm not really.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm going to change you or anything, but I'm really just saying this happens to me or had to happen to me or this what this sort of situation does
sure.
to my brain, and I'm just telling you about it in a funny way because that's how I process it. You know, that I'm sure you do the same thing. Like stuff happens to you, and then this is what minorities do. They laugh half of this stuff off because
Yeah, because
it's like
we have to. We have to have a good sense of humor about these things because or else we're gonna go insane.
you
You know,
go
because
crazy. I do this thing where like you know every like I say minorities have a we have a racism calculator in our head, and we're doing math whether it was that just really racist or was he just a guy who didn't understand. You're like,
yeah, we have to figure it out moment to moment.
oh no, he's just dumb. He's just dumb. You're like, oh no, that guy's racist. He was really like, and you do that, and then you let it go, or and it's like it takes up too much brain
It
space, like
does.
to
It's
really.
exhausting, man.
It's exhausting. Like you're like, what did that guy just like? So I went to the Dominican Republic, right? And I'm there, and then like especially in Latin cultures, there's that rainbow that you have, the rainbow. Like
Hmm.
you know, blacks were brought there, then you have the people who were indigenous Indians who were there. Then you have you know European Caucasian or Spanish or whatever there, and they're all sort of mixed together, but everyone speaks the language.
Hmm.
So I'm there, and this guy sees me, and he's like, "Oh, Spanish."
Yeah,
I'm
because
like,
you
"Oh
could pass
man."
for Dominican for sure.
I was like, "Oh man, I don't speak Spanish," and he was like, "Oh, oh, you know speak." Like I was so disappointed.
You
I was like,
confused the shit out of him.
he was. I broke his brain. I was like, I wanted to speak. I felt so bad.
Yeah.
I was like,
Did you
yeah, I
pick
speak
any up?
reggaeton.
Have you picked any Spanish up lately, or are you trying to
Not
learn?
really. Like only the bad words.
Just the
Only the
bad
bad.
words. All right.
I can. I have no gift for languages. I have
Yeah,
a
yeah,
talent for accent. I wish I could speak Spanish. I wish I could speak French. I wish I could speak like Italian.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I have no talent for accents. It's
So, have
awful.
you ever had a weird experience doing comedy where they made you feel weird or something happened?
All the time.
All the
So I
time,
do
and
this
not just once.
all the time. So because here's I don't know. Here's how I feel why I'm not like. So I used to do a bunch of urban shows. I used to do urban shows. So
Me too.
like, and like, the thing was like, I was always the way I was talking was like, it wasn't. I would get laughs, and they, they're, when you first start urban show, they can be really tough on comedians. Like
Yeah.
if you're not just like, and if you're coming out the box and you're doing
Oh my
urban
God.
shows, it's a tough road.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be, you know what I'm saying? If you're not funny,
Yeah.
right off the
Those
bat,
urban rooms are tough. They're very tough. Yeah.
very tough, dog. Like, and to walk that thing and do urban rooms and do, mainstream rooms, I guess, but I'm not mainstream urban rooms, I'm gonna say, and mainstream, uh, I don't even want to say white rooms, but you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
I don't
Mainstream
want to say
rooms,
that either. Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
mainstream rooms and
Mainstream
urban
rooms, unfortunately,
mainstream
that's
with an
those are
urban twist.
let's call them the
And
rich rooms,
the rich rooms, and so I used to do those, and then
industry
like, but
rooms.
what happened was I was getting good enough where I was like, I'm not. They weren't going to pay me. They weren't paying me.
Yeah.
So the first time I really started to get kind of paid was doing urban rooms in like Union City with our buddy Mario.
Mm-hmm.
Like we used to do like Union City and Hoboken, and then those crowds were like some of the smartest. These people, they're some of the smartest crowds. Like you could say a
Oh
subtle
yeah,
joke,
dude.
and then cultural references, they get them all. They
Yeah.
never. Oh yeah, and they like that you don't just make a joke that's
On
I like
surface.
crowds that are like
Yeah.
that. They're just you can hit them overhead,
Yeah.
or you could sort of just kind of lay it out and then let them finish the
Digest it.
Rubik's cube.
Sure. I like
Oh,
that. Yeah.
okay.
Finish the Rubik's cube. Yeah.
And then they like that. I like doing that, like laying it out, like and let them finish because then now they're engaged.
Yeah.
So I'm doing this room in like it's like a brewery. It's me, a bunch of and I'm headlining. Like and then I get on and then like they had these saws on the wall and I said something about sawing black people in half. It was just like I was I was just being
Yeah.
irreverent.
You're just
I
being
don't care.
silly. Plus, you're testing
Being silly.
material. Yeah.
Test the material, and then I get it, and I didn't really buzz them that hard. I was just like, oh man, it's not a lot of black people here, just me. And then this guy's like, oh, I'm from the Bronx. I was like, that's my man. And then so after the show, this like white, everyone had a great show. I had a good show. White lady comes up to me, and she's like, you didn't have to say that. And I was like, what do you mean? You said something about you. We saw you in half. I was like, oh no, not you saw me in half. I'm just saying, people would saw. I was
Yeah.
just making a joke. There were weapons on the wall.
She
and
took it personally. She said we.
She took it personally.
We. She
But
used the
she
word
wa-
we.
and then but she was trying to get me. She goes, I think you should say something to me about that. She wanted me to apologize to her.
What?
I was, and I looked at her like this. I was like, no, I said what I said, ma'am. I never apologize for what I say because most of the
good.
things I say are just coming from a spot of like truth or funny. And unless
Yeah.
I'm being just wrong about the truth and wrong about the funny,
Yeah.
I don't apologize for anything I say because I'm not coming from a mean part of it. I mean, if either that's happened in the past, which I'm real upset about, or I was just like, it's in the realm of that imagination where like you're trying to saw people in half, like the movie Saw, but and
Yeah.
then it just had come out. That movie came out with the with the Us or whatever the heck the movie.
Oh,
Get Out.
Get Out. Yeah, that's a good movie. I like
Get
that
Out
movie.
was so. It was like it was just like a cultural reference. Like
It
and
was
then she
very,
like,
yeah. It was like very, yeah. If you haven't seen it,
in
watch
the
Get
air.
Out. Yeah.
So that she was like, I think that was just wrong to say, and I was like, ma'am, half the things I say are wrong. Like, but that's the problem with our culture. If we had all the truth out there, we wouldn't have to. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing now. We'd be all
Yeah.
be just we'd already be in space.
We would be in harmony and stuff. Yeah. And
We'd
as
be hanging out,
comedians, we wouldn't feel the need to talk about stuff like this on stage because as comics, we talk about
wouldn't.
pain. At least I do.
We talk
I
about
try to
pain.
talk about stuff that connects us and pain because that's what it is to be human.
That's the one because we're all going through. Like, so what do you think? Like when you I know we used to do a couple shows, but what do you think? What happens to you as like because you've been on both coasts. You went out to
Mhm.
L.A. and then you come to New York, And what is the difference on the coast between the like sort of tilt of between like having being a minority?
Mhm.
Like, are they looking for like just minorities, or they're just like this guy is?
Well, I mean, you know, LA's a very interesting world. My experience was very unique because you know of how I looked and who I am. So I mean, a lot of the times I was able to be a chameleon because I would go to a club and they're like, "What is he?" And I would be like, "I'm Italian, last of Vincenzere," you know, and I get in, and or like another time I'd be like, you know, I could you know pass for different nationalities, but it was funny because here in New York, I would get grouped in with the Puerto Rican comics, right? I'm Cuban and Puerto Rican. There's not enough Cuban comics, so they automatically,
Like,
you know,
we
come
don't
to
know,
our
you're
village, and then you go.
gone.
And then when I go to LA, there's not enough Puerto Ricans or Cubans in LA, so I was bunched with the Mexicans. Right? So, and I love them. You know, they gave me work. They're the ones that helped me network. They're the ones that gave me opportunities. But I was literally steered to the Latino rooms, like automatically. Here's the door, you know.
Wow.
So in New York, I'm not white enough for the white people, and I'm not Latino enough for the Latino people. Same thing in LA. I'm not white enough for the white, and I'm not Latino enough for so. Since I was Puerto Rican, I was even more different because I didn't even fit in at first with the Mexican rooms. You know, that I had to earn their trust and acceptance, which I get.
Yeah.
You can't just walk in anywhere. But
No,
those
I see
crowds, you can imagine as a Puerto Rican,
the laughter.
I would have to up my game, you know?
Yeah, you have to be twice as good.
And so I would go to places in Long Beach where they would be like gang members and stuff like, you know, like motorcycle gangs or like, you know, and again, it was a little scary, but what you realize about these communities is that everyone is real people. So I would go to these neighborhoods and stuff, but as long as I was funny or a little funny, they would accept me, you know, because they understood that we're all people and they know the struggle that I went through. So they accepted. So it was a lot easier to get accepted quicker. But then the mainstream rich rooms, it was way, way hard, and I really didn't get accepted, you know? No matter, I mean, I would pound, you know me, I'd pound the door, and I had, I had representation that was good, and I had a lot of help, but still, dude, it was, you know, because when it's, I don't even think about, it's about racism, it's about money, dude, because when you're spending 20 million a film or 100 million a film or whatever it is, you don't want to make a lot of mistakes, so you're not going to really take a lot of chances.
Any risks.
So you're just going to get a copycat, and it's like it's going to switch slightly, and they're going to look for that winning song, that winning formula, that winning album, that winning thing, and they're going to stick to that, ride the wheels off of it, you know?
Yeah, that's to piggyback on your point. I think that like sort of that weird money races, like it almost feeds into each other. It's not racism, but it's like moneyism, and they can't take chances. They can't take chances because they need to feed the status quo culture what they want.
Now,
they don't know what they want.
Yeah.
So like they can't do like, hey, let's do Las Vic Live. Now if the culture shift like they say it's gonna shift, and like 70% or it's 51 or whatever, and it's Latino or brown people, I mean, it'll be easier, but will it? Like, you know, because who's going to be controlling the money still, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you're going to have even more griping because now there's a burgeoning culture that wants to be heard, that's being fed something that's not authentic to them. I call it like it's going to be a white minority gentrified future. That's a mouthful.
And so, and I noticed in the industry, Hollywood is just coming out with fewer films, but bigger films. So they spend these huge amounts of money on superhero movies and less money on little indie films, right? Because they want to make heaps and heaps of money, and that's not sustainable.
No, it's gonna crash because people. It's just like having like, you know, like like people griping like for a weird video game case now. People are really up in arms about that new Madden, which is
Oh, I heard
like
about that. Yeah.
Madden 22 is like Madden 21, which is
People
like
are
Madden.
mad about Madden. Yeah.
Be mad about Madden because they're cut and pasting it, and the game they won't redo it. But if they redo all the assets, it's going to cost them tens of millions of dollars,
Of
and the
course.
game makes tens of millions of dollars,
Yeah.
mostly through stupid microtransactions.
Sure.
But if they redo it, they don't want to redo it. They're
They
just
don't
going
want
to
to
cut
redo
and
it.
paste.
Same. Yeah.
It's like
exactly.
making them. It's like making a big movie. Hey, we're gonna make another. Now, granted, these Marvel movies, if you were a fan of those things when you were a kid, it's been what I've been waiting for.
Sure. It's great.
For
No,
they're great.
the movies are
Like,
fantastic.
but like it's always the whatever feeds the popular culture 20 years in on the like the under is going to be the most popular thing when your culture comes to light. So it used to be westerns. Like kids used to play westerns, and then the westerns would come up, and then the war happened. So then it was war movies, and then the 70s, blah blah blah. The kids, and then didn't have. So now comic books were big in the 60s, 70s, and then now we're seeing movies. So the next thing you're probably going to see, and it was always books or media, but now kids are going to have. I think in the future it's going to be movies like that were based on video games.
Yeah.
Like I think all those games you're gonna see like Cyberpunk the movie and like
yeah, they're already doing it. Witcher, the animated series,
Witcher, but right now they're in that stage where they were terrible.
Yeah,
you know, like Spider-Man was bad, but now it's gonna be dope when they finally get them.
when
maybe
they get it right.
20 years from now they'll get it right.
So this was an interesting article that I found, and when I put in minority comedians, like only a handful of things came out, not much. But Margaret Cho here got interviewed. She says, I appreciate the struggle of wanting to push boundaries while knowing I'm limited in what I can say, but it means we're finally being seen. So, you know, hopefully we're evolving, but just for a quote here, she says, if all of us who are considered minorities have more of a presence as voices in the media, then we could be in a space where racism was less of a trigger. So what she's saying is if you saw more of us on TV and you saw more of our lifestyles and more of real life, maybe it would educate other people and trigger them less, right? I hate using that word trigger, such a woke word. That's the other side of the coin, wokeness, dude. I think it's too much, the wokeness.
It's too much.
We got to be careful, too, you know, like as a comedian, right? We don't want to go ultra PC. But the pendulum seems to, with humanity, always seems to be extreme. We can't seem to find a good balance there in the middle. But I think we will hopefully one day, or be extinct.
Yeah, well, that could happen. But I hope so. It's two things. The one on what Margaret Cho was trying to say, I say, yeah. Like if you saw some of these dudes, like there's some dudes who I like came up with. They're so good now, and they're so good on talking about race. And I mean but because it triggers people so much that I think it hurts this comedian's popularity because they're like, oh, well, he doesn't talk about race, which is not true.
Yeah,
he's universally funny, but like that part of his act gets an unwarranted amount of attention, so it keeps him out of clubs that would normally play him.
You're right. And let me just tell you, I know some funny ass comedians that should so overdue to have their own main HBO special or main Netflix special. They're gonna come out with Netflix Latino any day now. That I'm amazed that they haven't even searched in New York because there's so many great comedians that are amazing that you could pull sitcoms out of that would be amazing.
Amazing, like dudes who like can light a room up. Like you see them and you're like, I don't know, to drop a name. Like I did a show with Mark Vieira.
Yeah, he's a great comic, Mark Vieira. One of our friends out there. He's hilarious. He should be on HBO doing everything. What the hell?
Like he has stuff. He does stuff.
He does stuff.
Like, that dude should be.
I'm telling you, what are they? They're too slow. I think they're lazy. I don't know what's going on. Maybe an executive will take care of this right now.
Right now. Like you see, but you know what I'm saying? There's tons of dudes like that. like
Yeah.
they're either Latin or like black or like in the middle, but they pick like these weird, like nerdy, trendy comics.
Well, I
Like
guess it's whatever the trend that they think they want to jump
they
on or
want to
whatever
push.
they want to push instead of looking for actual comedy. You know?
So at the end of the day, I think like I don't know because there's got to be a level on the playing field where comics like you and me can like just put out our stuff and hopefully have it
I
catch
think
on
that's
where
what it
they
comes down to, dude.
yeah where
That's
they
what it
can't
comes
ignore
down to.
you.
You know, you
Like
have
like
to
I was
put
like
out your own shit.
like I'm thinking like why like oh I'm just doing this bumping these clubs and like why don't I just work out for 6 months and then record an album? Why aren't
That's
you doing that?
a great plan.
Why aren't you doing that?
You should
Like
just do that.
oh well somebody's gonna find you like
No,
eh,
no, 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 no.
find you
No,
just
I
make
think
yourself.
that's a great idea. I think that you should not only come out, and I have to take this advice, you should not only come out with your own album, but you should do that every 2 years. And just doesn't matter.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah. Like, that's like
wherever
one of
you
my
are, whatever
goals.
level, you should have an album.
Do
You
an
know?
album. Like if it stinks, but like
Hey,
but
whatever.
that's how you get better.
That's how you
Like
get
I was
better.
like, you know what? Like because a bunch of my friends are dropping albums, and I was like, wait a minute, why aren't you just
I got to
drop
do
an
the
album?
same. Yeah, yeah,
Figure out what it takes to do it. Go ask your buddies. Hey man, you just dropped the album. How'd you do?
yeah.
How'd you do? You know, you just drop 2 shows, get edits together, put it
Yeah,
out.
you're
Now
right.
you have something, and then get part of my problem too is get your shit together. Like people are like, well, I'm on Instagram.
Same
Like,
here,
no,
dude. See, I could do
you need a
way more.
website.
Yeah.
You need.
Let me know
And
if you need
you
a
don't have to
website.
do. Yeah, I do. You don't have to do last tech. So you don't have to do like But I'm like part of this is like thinking the industry is gonna do everything it can do
Yeah.
for you when it's not. Like
No.
because they don't know how good you are and they don't know so you have to put yourself in that best light and then present it to them and then they're like, oh,
I
he's
think that's
funny.
right. Yep. I think you're
And
absolutely
and
right.
I think because like just like you posted a clip and I never seen you like you were like just in like some like house party joint and you had the
Yeah.
mic and you busted out this thing about talking about gluten and I'm like that's Laz, and then and then everyone's laughing and
Yeah.
you're just like and then I'm like and it's smart but it's like topical but it's like you're like weirded out because I know you also had part of like that health journey you started
That's right.
and you're like and then you're like what is this? It's gluten free and you're like what's free about it?
And it took me that whole journey to get to that one little bit, So I think
Yeah.
that's part of it. Is that so
And
for
it was
us?
funny. And I'm
Thank
like,
you,
it's
man.
like
We hold on to
making-
those like that's our babies because it takes us
That's what-
forever to write shit like
takes
that.
you. People think it's funny. Like you can fighting through that bit. Hey, you get a funny core, and then how do I turn it, and how do I keep it funny? Oh, and then people are like, hey, well, Les, how Latin is that? But it's funnier because you're in this culture, and then especially Latin culture where the food is not gluten free. You know what I mean? But delicious. You know what I mean? Like, you could probably, if you're in the black culture, you could probably listen. You got to come out as a vegan. Like, you're like,
You got to come out.
like, Dad, I don't want to eat any meat that was sourced from. Like, what? You? I hate you, Daddy. I don't want to eat any meat. But there's a big
man.
thing, like
There's a lot of
it's a
pressure
weird-
too, culturally. Yeah.
Culturally, these inner culture, like there's a lot of pressure from trying to like eat right and go against this, and like you sound a lot of that wokeness is, but like to me, until our culture can really be truthful and honest, like we can't be tucking stuff under the rug and being like and thinking it's gone. It's not gone. You just made it go. You just masked it. Like you put a Snapchat filter on racism, like it's wearing a Groucho Marx mask, and he's still horrible. He's still here, but he's going yak 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 yak.
Anthony Purnett chiming in. He says, "Yo, Monty."
Yo, what up, Anthony?
We're here with Mr. Monty Mason, comedian extraordinaire, having a conversation about what it's like being a minority in comedy. We've had quite the interesting information and journey sharing tonight, and I really do appreciate it, Monty.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the Anthony. So before we wrap, Monty, if there's advice you could give to not only minority comedians, but any comedians coming up, but maybe in particular a minority comedian, what advice would you give to a young comic?
Any young comic, I would say, is comedy show biz. So the show is very important, right? So handle that, learn how to write, learn how to perform, learn how to not be a dick in a club.
Hmm.
Like, I'm serious. You will get booked if you're just not a dick. Nobody wants to work with somebody who's an asshole.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you know, I want, don't go to open mic and tell them you want credits. Shut up. It's an open mic.
You want
Tell them who cares.
credits for an open
Credits
mic.
at an open mic. Come on, man. Then this is what I lack in the business part. Learn, get around the guys who are good, and sometimes you got to get out of your open mic scene and go somewhere else. And let's like you at Broadway Comedy Club, like go to another club, go see a show, go see it. Whoa, see how good a guy is. Go watch one of these guys who are real, like just blow mics out, not a mic but a show, and then see like I got to get like that. How do I do that?
Yes.
Get around the people who are the best. Like you perform with dudes who are the best, and so it brings something out of you. Like you might struggle a little bit, but then you start like I'm gonna go right. I'm gonna tag. And then just be fundamental. Watch comedy. I'm a student, like not a student. I don't even. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Like I watch guys, and I'm like I like watching these young guys. Like some of the young guys grow. Like I did a show with these young guys. I saw them doing these shows at the mic, and then I saw them on the show, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't think that was even funny.
Wow.
But you see them grow.
You see the development.
Like, so always know that the comic now is not the comic you're gonna be. You're always gonna be evolving. Even if you do it for 50 years, 20 years, you're always gonna be getting better. If you push to get better, and the more you are yourself, and the more you learn about yourself, the better comic you're gonna be. And sometimes that comes with like saying stuff you're afraid to say.
Absolutely.
Like, as long as it's truthful and funny and you can express yourself, just do that. And then, have fun. And here's another one. Don't get bitter.
Don't get
You see these
bitter.
guys
That's an
bitter.
important
Don't
lesson.
be like, don't get bitter, man. Because you can be at Mike's. Fuck that.
I went through there's a bitter phase I went through. Definitely. There's there's a insanity phase that you go through as a comedian where you're like, you're about to quit and you just go crazy. And
I'm about to quit now.
Yeah,
I'm always about to quit.
Yeah, exactly. And there's lots of depression that comes with comedy too. You know what I mean? There's a lot of comedians that suffer from depression.
Yeah, a lot of comedians, because you do this thing and it feels so good, and you step off stage, and then you're like, oh, I gotta go do something else now. Like you're like, but I'm so good at it. Like the other night, I mean, I had a great show, and I was like, oh man, and then like at Saturday, Saturday you do a show, and then Sunday, and then like Monday, I'm like at my like day job. I'm like, oh man,
It's hard, man. Yeah, right. It's like
love to do comedy all the time or something pertaining to comedy, because comedy isn't a self-sustaining thing unless you're just one of those special big guys.
Yeah.
So you need to do something else. You need to act. You need to write. You need to be able to do like now social media is important. Like, and I would say YouTube. I don't know what kind of content you want to bring to get. You don't have to do that, but you need something, a book, a CD, something to bring in revenue that's going to put you on a different level than the dudes you're on. Like you can't just be like me in the clubs. Like I see these guys, I do 50 shows. Yeah, that's great, but like 35 of those shows stink because you were on like there was 4 people there. And like do quality shit.
Yep.
Like I had shows and I was like, oh, I'm doing a show in November. I'm doing a show here. And then the rest of the time, I'm either going to try to write, try to get my social media up, try to get this up. So when I bring a show, it's quality show. Like I used to do like 200 dates, man. Like, and
wow.
I'm just not home. I was like, I think if you focus on say 3 shows a week, and then one day you do social media, one day you do your YouTube. And
spread it out a little bit.
Spread it out, because that you'll make a better impact. Especially like you're growing your channel and it's doing well, and
Yeah, and it's not a race. It's just to put out good content like this. I mean, it's it's not about how many people watch the content. It's about us having a conversation, me and you hanging out, and if someone enjoys the content, great. You know what I mean? That's a
Great.
bonus.
It's like comedy, and you have fun. You're having fun. I'm talking to you. I would be talking to you anyway. We'd be talking to you. Maybe there'd be some tacos
Yeah.
between us, but but like that's the way it is. Like I
Yeah.
think if comedy is like, listen, and then you gotta have determination, like, because there's gonna be some nights where you're like, oh, I want this over with.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
uh,
That's all right.
I want this over with. I don't want to do this no more. And nobody, like, the worst thing's gonna happen when your friends are not gonna be there. Like that's where I'm at. Like nobody,
Sure.
it's just me. But like, are you doing it for them?
No.
Like you you're doing it because you like to make people laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's
And
what you
that's
do.
it.
It just
And so all this other stuff that comes with it. Oh, what are you? What nationality are you? All this other
Horse
shit that
shit.
comes. Hey, where you're from. All this other shit is just bullshit just so we can get to the stage to make you laugh, right? That's
Yeah,
all
it's
we want to do.
bullshit. Just we want to make you laugh, and it could be culturally or whatever. But I
And I
think that
myself like to see a variety of different, comedians.
me too. Like, because you don't want to be, especially if you're the same. You don't want to be the same. The more you are you, then no one else could be you.
No one
Like
else
that's what
can
I'm
be you.
saying.
That's a great point. No one else can be you.
No
Just
one
be
else can be
you.
you. Be you.
And the more you can be you, I think the truer your set will be.
The true you are. Like that's what I've learned. To just be you and have fun, and then like you know that's what I try to do. And I watch like some of my friends grows. Like a lot of my friends like popped. I was like, wow, that guy got really funny, and he popped, and like he's working, and like
Yeah.
and it's good. Like it's because that means it can happen for you. You shouldn't
Yeah.
have. I don't want. No, it can happen for you. You just keep doing it, and you're gonna stop anyway. We didn't stop for. So you can sit
Yeah.
home
Don't
and be
stop.
miserable.
Just keep doing it. Yeah. Exactly. Anthony's chiming in about depression. I know he suffers from depression, and I tell him you gotta fill your day with lots of things, not just you can't just be one thing. You gotta have a well balanced life. You gotta write when you're not doing comedy. You got to go to open mics. You gotta walk and exercise. You gotta
Yeah.
try to eat right. You gotta clear your mind in
I would say
order.
eating right.
Mind, body, and soul is the only way
Right.
you're going to be able to
Three
provide a
things.
group of people with entertainment, right?
Yeah, you gotta like I remember Jerry Seinfeld saying that just to get through the shows he had to eat right. You have like I found like once I started doing a lot of stuff, like when I started gearing up for something, I had to exercise. Like it was like I had to eat right. Like I couldn't just eat garbage.
Yeah,
Because sometimes at night show I'm so nervous I can't really eat. Like I don't really.
yeah.
But you know.
And for me, it's like once I get on stage, a lot of it's my mind goes into autopilot because there's no time to
Yeah.
think, right?
Boom,
So
and
it's
you
like
react-
you
you're
train your
reacting.
brain, you train, and you just hope that your brain works when you're up there
Yeah.
from the
That's
training.
what happened. I find that's when I have the best shows when I just train, and then like, and it could go different ways. Like sometimes and then sometimes your brain comes up with something on the spot that just like you would have never thought of if you
Yeah.
didn't have that pressure of being on stage.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh, that's a keeper, and then you use it again and it works. You're like, oh man, that. So you got to perform, and you got to learn how to write, and you got to learn how to write for yourself. Like you can't be like, oh, Patrice O'Neill does this. You're not Patrice O'Neill.
Yeah.
You're you. And
Absolutely,
right
dude.
for you.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Monty Mason, I want to thank you so much, man, for joining me here
I
on
wanna
Las
thank
Vegas
you,
Live once
Laz.
again. This is the second time you do the show.
Yeah.
You did episode 6, which if you go back and look, it looks a lot different. And like you said,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
process of streaming, I've learned a little bit more. I'm a little better now. It was like episode 98 or something.
You're doing great, man. I
And
love the
so,
look.
yeah, we're getting there, We're getting there.
Yeah, I got to get my look up so I don't look like Bigfoot. And something's wrong with my Wi-Fi. I gotta upgrade that too now. Damn, lagging.
That's all right, man. We had the conversation. People can hear it like a podcast. It was
No, I
great
know.
seeing you, my man. It was great
Great.
hanging with
Thank
you.
you.
We'll do it. We'll definitely do it again.
Yeah, we're talking funny.
So thank you so much, Monty Mason, for joining the show. And if you have a question for Monty, where could they find you if they want to find you, if they want to see where you...
Oh, you guys can find me basically right now. I'm on Instagram. My website is gonna be in construction. So you can find me on Instagram at Monty Mason 16. like me, friend me, or
Monty
hug me on
Mason
Instagram.
16. Is that all one
Oh,
word,
one
or is
word.
there a dot in between?
Monty Mason. No, Monty Mason 16.
Monty Mason
You'll find
16.
it'll come up. The kids
Yeah.
hand you the phone now. Like, hey, you.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's weird, kid.
So just check him out
Check me out,
on
man,
the
please.
technologies.
The
Once again,
technologies.
thank you so much, Monty. Hang tight 1 second. Guys, such a pleasure to bring you yet another live show, live stream with comedian friends of mine. Of course, Lasvik Live is a live interactive show where we'll talk to comedians, we'll talk to artists, musicians, activists, whoever I find interesting to bring on the show to bring you some cool content. I want to thank each and every one of yous. That's New Jersey Talk, one of yous, for joining us today on the show. If you want to learn more, if you want to be part of the community, you can do so by visiting www.lazviclive.com. That's LAZVICLIVE.com. I want to thank everyone who watched the show today, who's going to watch the show. Mom, Anthony, thank you so much for joining us. And I will see you next time on Lasvik Live.